Mont Blanc is situated in the elevated French Alps. One of the well-known routes for climbers heading to the summit of Mont Blanc is Mont Blanc du Tacul. This towering peak holds the distinction of being the tallest mountain in Western Europe, reaching an impressive height of 4,810 meters, 15,780 feet. And on the 25th of August 2008, the life of some climbers was hanging by a thread. Hope was fading for 8 mountaineers as they went missing near Mont Blanc. At 3 a.m., a substantial piece of ice broke away from the mountain, triggering an early morning avalanche, resulting in one of the deadliest incidents to impact the French Alps in many years. The avalanche, stretching 200 meters in length and 50 meters wide, struck the mountaineers at an elevation of 3,600 meters. Initially, the regional government reported that 10 climbers, including 5 Austrians and 3 Swiss, were believed to be missing. However, this number was adjusted to 8 after discovering that 2 Italians, originally thought to be among the missing, had already returned to Italy. An authoritative police chief from Haute-Savoie characterized this wall of snow as extraordinary. Daniel Puello said the sheer volume of this slide had made it deadly. The route chosen by the climbers is a frequently used one, often traversed by groups departing from their base before sunrise when the snow is at its most stable condition. Survivor accounts and rescue efforts. Nicolas Duquesne, who unfortunately suffered a broken ankle, recounted the moment, saying, "The guide urgently told us, 'Run fast, run fast.'" Duquesne added, "We had just enough time to move away to the right before getting hit. We were really lucky." He described his escape through the snow as akin to swimming. Italian guide Marco Delfini, another survivor, described the scene as a massive ice wall advancing towards us, carrying us about 200 meters. Regis Laverne, a member of the rescue team, expressed a somber sentiment on French television, stating that there was minimal hope of locating the missing climbers alive. He surmised that they might be situated in the lower parts of the glacier, concealed beneath ice formations called seracs. In an extensive search operation involving helicopters, skilled alpine guides, and trained dogs, activities had to be ceased yesterday afternoon to avoid potential further avalanches. Adriano Favre, Alpine Rescue Director, expressed doubts regarding the retrieval of the bodies. He explained that the missing climbers likely ended up in a precarious area with unstable ice formations that could easily collapse, emphasizing the high level of risk involved. Out of the total affected individuals, 7 were taken to the hospital for medical attention, contrary to the initially stated 8. Among these, only 3 needed to remain in the hospital overnight. Most of them had suffered fractures or sprains, and a guide who sustained injuries was treated for a broken vertebra, though without the risk of paralysis, as confirmed by Jean-Yves Moracchini, the leader of the rescue team. Subsequently, the search operations were halted due to the potential danger of warm weather causing other ice sections to melt and potentially triggering another avalanche. This decision was conveyed through an official statement as well as by local police and government representatives. Survivors recounted the experience of witnessing a vast expanse of ice silently and swiftly advancing toward them, leaving little time for escape. And Mont Blanc has a series of tragic accidents. On August 14th, Briton Reg Clark, age 70, and Dutchman Johannes Reuter, age 47, were discovered frozen to death just moments away from their refuge. They were caught in a storm near the Naso dell'Iscam peak in the Italian Alps. On the same day, 4 separate accidents resulted in the loss of 6 lives. 2 Frenchmen met a tragic fate as they fell from the Bosses Ridge. Additionally, 2 young mountaineers, aged 21 and 22, lost their lives while descending the Col de Court. Meanwhile, a 54-year-old hiker fell while descending the Dent d'Oche, and a local trekker, aged 65, suffered a fatal fall on rocks. On August 8th, Ian Jackson, an 18-year-old from Middlesbrough, tragically fell 50 meters to his death while abseiling after a climb in Chamonix. On July 25th, Jane Jerram from New Zealand, along with her British boyfriend and 2 women from France and Chile, succumbed to freezing temperatures after being caught in an abrupt storm on the Bionnaise crest, situated on the French side of Mont Blanc. It was reported that they lacked proper clothing and equipment to cope with the harsh conditions. On July 24th, a somber occurrence involved a Dutch father, aged 56, and his children, aged 17, 20, and 23. They tragically fell 500 meters down a slope on Mont Dolent, a part of Mont Blanc. The family had been roped together. On April 30th, 5 French ski mountaineers were swept away by an avalanche in Gran Paradiso National Park in the northwestern Alps of Italy. Weather conditions experts highlighted that the weather conditions were favorable throughout the preceding night. The cold and pleasant conditions led to a situation where the weight of the ice became too much to bear. He elaborated, "It was a big slab, and that slab was big enough to reach the team of climbers." This tragic incident is part of a perilous season in the Alps. As reported figures indicate, nearly 100 fatalities this summer across the French, Italian, and Swiss peaks, with a majority occurring within the Mont Blanc range. The French Interior Minister, Michel Alliot-Marie, addressed the situation from Chamonix, characterizing the avalanche as one of the most severe accidents we've witnessed in decades. She emphasized that despite taking all necessary precautions, unexpected tragedies can unfold. Alliot-Marie, who assessed the scene via helicopter, stated that there was no hope of finding survivors, describing the avalanche as monumental and unavoidable. A representative from the British tour company operating in the area, Mountain Adventure Specialists, conveyed that their tours, including Mont Blanc du Tacul, will persist. The spokesperson commented, "While this is not the initial incident of its kind, it's important to acknowledge that such unfortunate events may occur again in the future." But what makes it so deadly? In 2012, there was widespread coverage of unfortunate events on the slopes of Mont Blanc. Regrettably, these incidents resulted in the loss of 11 lives, occurring in 2 separate incidents just days apart. For those acquainted with the mountain's nature, these occurrences might not have come as a surprise. Mont Blanc holds the unfortunate distinction of having the highest fatality rate among all the mountains in Europe. Various estimates suggest that, on average, about 100 hikers lose their lives each year on Mont Blanc. Astonishingly, this figure surpasses the annual fatalities across an entire decade in the Alaskan mountain ranges, which include the notably perilous and demanding 320-foot summit of Denali, also known as Mount McKinley. What's interesting to note here is that even though Mont Blanc stands as the tallest peak in Europe, it's not necessarily the toughest one to conquer from a technical point of view. Interestingly, several guiding companies label Mont Blanc as more of an extended hike rather than an extremely demanding climb, although reaching the summit does call for the use of crampons and ice axes. This situation presents a bit of a puzzle. If ascending Mont Blanc is akin to a long walk rather than a risky and highly technical ascent, then why do numerous individuals meet unfortunate fates on its slopes? There are several reasons contributing to this phenomenon. One significant factor is how European tour companies present the ascent as a long walk, achievable by anyone in decent physical shape, even without prior climbing experience. Additionally, the mountain offers remarkably convenient access through téléphériques, gondolas, which transport climbers to around 9,000 feet of elevation. Individuals who undertake the summit annually are relatively inexperienced or entirely new to climbing. They depend on the guidance of professional climbing experts to ensure a safe journey up and down the mountain. With that said, thank you for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more.